I'm not, that was so good. Go again.
3, 2, 1, bye. Welcome back to the Movement for Life podcast, where we talk about ways to keep us moving throughout our life. My name is Colby Christophic. I am here with the lovely and beautiful J.R. Jaquay and and a special guest today that we will get more into a little bit, Sam Ellison. Welcome back to the podcast. I know you guys thought that I was going to say the special and beautiful Sam, but I switched it up.
No, I knew where you were going with this. I had no doubt. That was
welcome back. We've got Sam on our podcast this week. Before we get into chatting with her more about what we're going to talk about, I want to know what was going on with movement in the past week. That's how we kind of start out every single podcast. So JR, what did you do to move in the last week?
I did quarterfinal workouts, basically. This last 7 days.
Many?
I did repeat one workout,
right.
Colby. I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so quarterfinal started last Wednesday, and so I basically just did one every day. I did a rest day on Thursday, actually. It went really well. You know, like I'm good at what I'm good at, and I'm not good at the other things. So it went as expected. And for the most part, my body feels really good. I don't feel like any of those actually completely wrecked me like I would have assumed. And yeah, it went really well. I was really happy with how it went.
Does the back feel good?
Back feels great.
What about you, Sam? You said you had a meet this past weekend. You shared that it was a less than stellar experience.
Yeah, so I would say I'm probably on the opposite end of JR here, where I'm normally very excited. I'm having fun. I usually am in a great competitive space in my head. Meets are one of my favorite things. I love competing. It's why I do weightlifting. I'm good at it. I'm strong. And I've gotten to the level where the expectations and the pressure I've put on myself has just made it not fun. So the last 6 months, I qualified for the second highest meet you can go to. And I left a couple kilos on the floor to qualify me for the national championship this year. And so the last 6 months have been all about putting it together, getting back out there, qualifying in time. And it just hasn't been fun for me anymore, because now instead of weightlifting, because I get to, and it's fun, it's that additional pressure of I have to do this. I have to hit this number, not, I get to see what I'm capable of. That mindset shift has just done me in. I've done 2 meets since my headspace has kind of shifted to what I have to do instead of what I get to do. And they've both been the 2 worst meets of my life. So my brain has kind of shut off. There's just too much. My CNS can't handle it to a certain extent.
What is CNS for people who don't know?
My central nervous system. So my brain and my body are no longer working together. My body is the strongest it has ever been, and my brain is the weakest it has ever been. And I haven't given myself the time to, as a competitive athlete, especially in sports like CrossFit or weightlifting, where they're kind of year round, you have to find that space to recover and give your brain and your body that break. And I haven't. I didn't do as well as I wanted to. So instead of taking a week off, which I normally would do, I came back and was working on Monday at the gym. And same thing, I never let myself recover. And then this time it showed up on the platform. And it was a big eye opener to me of wow, I was more than capable of doing it, but I didn't. I didn't even try to the best of my capabilities. So
before we move into some nutrition stuff, I want to hear some highlights though. So that was rough stuff. We had quarterfinals with some great performances from, maybe not ourselves particularly, but we all know people who did really well, and we just want to celebrate some accomplishments for other people as well. So JR, do you have any standouts on people who performed really well at horsepower, anything that you want to share with the world.
Yeah, we have 3 athletes that have qualified to semifinals. So we got Mickey Shelton, we got Lauren Bayer, and Dan Wells, all qualified. They'll be moving on to the age group semifinals, which is also an online competition.
Okay.
Super fun. I got to give a shout out to everybody from both spaces who, this is a lot of effort and a lot of time mentally to move through something like the quarterfinals, and all the people that have helped out for recording, and this is there just for support. Like,
yeah,
from Wednesday, the moment that those workouts were announced, to Monday morning, we had members coming in. Like, all the people who had qualified were in there every day, even if they weren't doing a workout. They were there to hold the camera, to help hold the measuring tape, to show the measurements, to help people with their recording, their filming. It was just like this team effort, and that's really what this is supposed to be about. It's about bringing everyone together, and this is why this is my favorite time of the year, because not only do we have the opportunity to show all the hard work that we put in throughout the year, but we also have the opportunity to see the people that really care about us and support us, and who will show up on a day that they normally wouldn't. They aren't normally at the gym on 3:00 on a Saturday afternoon, but they all come in just to be there. Nick and Hope, who drove all the way from Oxnard just to be there on Saturday to see me. It's like that kind of stuff is what makes this special, and this is what makes the CrossFit community very, very special.
Yeah. Sam, what about you?
So I missed out on a lot of the quarterfinals fun because I was not at the gym those days.
Mm-hmm.
But coming back to the gym, it was pretty cool to hear. We actually, just like the regular open, we integrated them into our classes. So we did them Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. And it was awesome to come in on Monday and hear people that I got my first handstand push-up in a workout.
Yeah.
Wall-facing handstand push-up, and people that did way better on we had an athlete, he finished the wall ball and the burpee box jump over workout in 8 minutes. He was pretty up there. I want to say had 100 and something in that workout. So that was really awesome. So just hearing that, even though I had a bad weekend, it was great that everyone else was like, yes, Sam, look what I did. And that's what I love about coaching, and being able to come in and have people so excited to tell you hey, we've been working on this and I did it, so that's always awesome.
That's great. My 2 little shout outs, maybe 3 little shout outs. My mom crushed it, texted me on Monday night when the whole thing kind of went through, and let me know she was top 100 in her age group.
Wow.
For quarters, and she was not expecting that. She ended up being very, very happy with it, and she's excited to make it into semis next, the online comp for semis. She is the top of her. The reason she was not expecting it was she's 59 and she'll be 60 this next year, so she's the top age for her age group. And she's going to age out this coming year. And so she was like, I'm not expecting to be able to make this. And actually just really crushed it. The other athlete that we've got that did really, really well is Miss Nikki Hoare. She finished, I believe 169th place was her final placing, which is fantastic. This past year, she went from 530th place in quarterfinals to this year 169th place. I said it earlier. I think that this coming year is her opportunity, her chance to make it to semifinals. So 2025, I'll get ready to support Nikki and go to semifinals and watch one of our athletes. And then the other person who I want to give a shout out to is Miss Brenda as well. Brenda's been doing a mix of a bunch of different things. She has been trying to bring in fun back into training. I think when you are a competitive athlete, you sometimes lose, I get to do this versus I have to do this. and without a ton of CrossFit training, she qualified handily for quarterfinals and did all of the quarterfinals workouts with a fun mindset. And she placed in like the mid 500s, I believe. I think she entered a score incorrectly online, and so it looks worse than it is. But if she would have entered it correctly, it was like a very, very competitive finish for Miss Brenda, who is trying to just have fun as well. This is Sam Ellison. She's going to give us a little background on herself.
I'm obviously a CrossFit registered coach, level 1, and I'm taking my level 2 this week or next weekend. So super excited about that. And then I'm a registered nutrition coach through Precision Nutrition and Healthy Steps Nutrition. I'm also currently going through 2 new certifications that I'm pretty stoked about. One is Precision Nutrition, Stress and Recovery. So this one's really going to help out my athlete clients. I know that most of us, especially going through the nutrition challenge, did not realize how much stress is impacting every part of their life, especially like their hunger, their workouts, their sleep. So that one's been pretty cool to be going through. And then the other one I'm currently enrolled in is a mindset certification. So actually bridging the gap through psychology with behavioral change when it comes to nutrition and nutrition coaching. So a lot of times you can have all the knowledge for nutrition. Like I can know what you need to do, but it's finding the way to help shift your mind into actually adopting those new behaviors. So that's been super cool for me to start learning about, because it's helping me implement new things already with my new clients and starting to ask like the right questions to get their brain thinking in the right way, getting out of that like fixed mindset and starting to move them into a growth mindset.
So Sam used to coach for us. She went through our coach development program here in Oxnard Movement. She's been through several different life transformations. CrossFit's definitely been in her life for the better. She became our head nutrition coach at one point and then took on a full-time role with us. Then she got married, moved to Arizona with her husband, Trevor, and that's where they live now. She is now still a full-time coach in Arizona and also doing nutrition. I've recently rehired her to do nutrition coaching across state lines with us. And that's been going really, really well. We're in the middle of a nutrition challenge. She has far exceeded expectations for growth and development as far as a coach goes and as far as knowledge goes. And so I'm really excited to have her here chatting with us. Sam, CrossFit, how did this whole thing get started?
So I did competitive cheerleading for 10 years growing up, and you kind of age out. I mean, now you can move into like the college level, but it was like my life.
Professional cheerleader.
Yeah, basically, right? And I mean, I missed out on a lot of high school stuff and growing up because like I was at the gym every day, and Saturday and Sunday we had 8-hour practices. So it was like my life. So when that ended for me, it was like I didn't know where to go, what to do. I did go to college. I tried college cheer. It just wasn't the same. I didn't want to like cheer for a football team. I thought it was like super lame. Like I'm here for the sport. I'm not like and so I ended up leaving that, and I just had no physical activity after that. It was like my one outlet that I was in love with was gone. And I would say I kind of fell down a bad road. I actually ended up gaining up to 220 pounds at that time, definitely depressed. And from there, I had like a major life shift. And I went from being like totally unhealthy on one end of the spectrum to the opposite. So I went from like overeating, drinking alcohol, doing drugs to I'm going to run 10 miles a day and I'm going to eat a pack of almonds, and that's it. And I went from 220 to about 115. And it was at that point that my cousin was like, she needs help. And he did CrossFit, and he invited me to a class. And at the time I was like, I'm so fit. Like I run all this CrossFit. It's not for me. Like I'll show you. Okay. I'll go to your class. I threw up. Okay. And it was something like boxing, rowing, running. And I'm like outside on the next run and I like throw up behind a dumpster, come back in and I was like, hey, I threw up. And he's like, okay, well, your partners are in there and they can't finish the workout without you. So get in there. And I was like, what? I threw up. And they're like, come on, like the community, they're like, you can do it. And everyone like rallied behind me. So finished the workout. And I'm like, this was awesome. I want to do this. So we went back home. That was a class in San Diego. So I went back to Oxnard and I searched up like CrossFit gyms near me. And there were two that popped up. It was Oxnard, which was CrossFit Oxnard at the time, and Beachside. And CrossFit Oxnard got back to me first. So I went over there. And that day, I'm like, yeah, me and my mom went together and we signed up for our on-ramp and we did our on-ramp together. And that was kind of the end of that. I have not turned back since. So it was kind of at this point of my life where I could do CrossFit and find this community of people that are going to help me continue to better myself where I'm at, or I was going to go back into into the streets, right? But like basically like go down this bad road that I had been on. So it gave me somewhere else to put my attention and something positive for me to focus on. And I'm always so thankful for that in this community because it really brought my life to a different space.
And I remember you were still very loud.
Always.
Very, very different, very small. You were still probably at a 115-pound frame. Yeah. And you used to wear like, it felt like knee-high or thigh-high socks with like weed on them. And I'm like, who is this person? And I would have never in a million years thought this is going to be the Sam that's in front of us today.
This is my future nutritionist, right?
Yes. I would have never, and it's been incredible. It's been insane to see somebody like Sam completely like dig in, like push in, learn, grow, become better, and then be able to like use her story as a tool for transformation for other people as well, which has been really, really cool. And nutrition's been a massive battle for you, and it makes a lot of sense that you are able to help people who are struggling through nutrition stuff to figure it out, to walk with them through mistakes and things like that. And that's my first question that hopefully you can give to our listeners is like, you get to work with a lot of people with nutrition. What are like the three most common things that you're finding like that people are making mistakes for that you're generally trying to help them fix or change or make different?
I would say the first mistake I see with people is a complete overhaul. They want to come in and I'm like, hey, we're going to take this easy. We're going to start with adding things instead of subtracting things. And people are like, no. I want to change my breakfast, change my lunch, change my dinner. I should be at the gym 7 times a week. And so you see like what happens when you try to like, they're like, that's too easy. But what you want to do is start out easy, because what consistency breeds is your motivation to keep going. And so hitting these small little steps along my way, maybe that'll lead you to that initial goal that you wanted to, complete overhaul of your life. But those kinds of things don't happen from day 1 to day 2. And when that happens, people, they fall into this hole of like, well, maybe this just isn't for me. I'm not this kind of person. I can't do this. This has always been something I struggled with. And you see that fixed mindset become a problem because they're so stuck on, well, it's not working and I can't do this. Instead of like, hey, let's just add this. You can do this. And then their mindset starts to shift. Their nutrition starts to shift. And you see it happen a lot. I don't say easier, but it gets them there quicker than the all or nothing kind of mindset.
Yeah. That's a great one.
I would say number 2 is someone that's been doing this, like they've been working with me, or they've been doing diets before and they firmly believe that they're like in a caloric deficit, right? Like, Sam, I am following my diet to a T, but we call it the BLTs. So the undocumented bites, licks, and tastes, like throughout the day. Oh, I was cooking and I had a couple bites, and I was at work and I had like a snack. And at the time, these things are so small and insignificant that you're like, this couldn't possibly do anything to me. But if you're doing it every day, and let's say you're in a very small caloric deficit, and let's say like 300, 400 calories a day, if you're having like a snack here, a snack there, that adds up really quickly. And now you're in a maintenance and you're like, no, I'm following. I tracked, but you didn't actually. And those things add up so quickly without you even noticing. The BLTs.
I like that. I think I might be I might be suffering from BLTs.
And BLT too is like, so like people cook a lot with like oils, and then they are not like, don't track the oil, that adds up. Or I would say like the sprays, nutrition can be very misleading. So like your pan spray, right? Someone's like, well, I switched to the pan and it's 0 calories, and the virgin olive oil was, 50 for a tablespoon. I'm like, no, it's still 50 for a tablespoon. And they're like, yeah, but it says 0. So if you've never been told this, obviously like you don't understand. And that's how they get you, is like, if you turn one of those like sprays around, it'll tell you that one serving is like 0.000 of a spray. And if you have a nutrition label and the serving is not a gram or more, you can put that everything is 0 in it. So it's not actually 0. No one's using that spray bottle 60,000 times. It doesn't have 60,000 servings, but they're leading you to believe that. So you're over there like, shh, with your spray thinking it's nothing. And now you're 200.
My cheese whiz is 0 calories.
No, I mean, it's not like inherently your fault, but it can be very misleading if you don't know.
Yeah. So when you're talking about the sprays or the products that you're baking or cooking with, what are you suggesting to your clients that they use?
So it's very dependent. Like, obviously, if I have to put oil in something, I'm going to use like the extra virgin olive oil. Going to be your healthier options there for your healthy fats, your healthy oils. But it's knowing that they do have calories. And if you're in a deficit where those calories matter to your journey at that time, you need to be tracking them.
Yeah.
So it's just having that knowledge of like, this does mean something. And if I pour it in the pan because I'm cooking, my food's still soaking it up, I'm still ingesting it. And some people, they don't realize that.
Yeah. So when people come to you as clients, what are the top reasons that they're coming to you? Are they wanting to track for weight loss? Are they looking to build muscle? What's the overall population of your clients?
I would say being in the CrossFit space is very unique because I would say 50-50. So I have half of the clients that are here for fat loss that maybe even have been doing CrossFit for years and didn't understand that nutrition is the driving force behind fat loss and exercise is like the passenger. And so they're like, I've been here for years and I'm not seeing results. But then you also have like the other end of the spectrum where people are like, wow, I just got in the gym and there's all these people doing all these amazing things. And these women are so strong and these men are so strong. And how can I do that? I want to learn how to be like that and do those things. So it is definitely, I would say 50-50, which is something that I love about my own journey because I can relate to both of those people and help them meet where they're at in their own personal space.
Yeah, that is very unique. You think of like traditionally a registered dietitian, maybe like they're only seeing people that are like, hey, I need to do weight management. I need to lose body fat. Whereas a nutrition coach, you're living proof that like half of the people that you're working with are actually looking to build muscle, not just lose weight. And I'm sure that there's a fair amount of people who just want to learn how to eat healthier as well, right? They're like, I don't really care what my weight says, if my muscle goes up or down. I just want to be able to like eat the right foods.
And
cool.
I think that's also what I love about CrossFit and what it teaches us is like, your weight doesn't matter. Like people would look at me and think that I weigh a lot less than I do, right? Because
That's true.
Muscle weighs a lot. It's very dense. And
Yes,
it gets people out of that headspace of like, well, I have to weigh this, I have to weigh that. Because more often than not, the person with the body that you're like, oh, that's the aesthetic I'm searching, weighs more than you think they weigh.
That's right.
So to get away from chasing the number on the scale and being more like, where do I feel good? When do I feel strong? When am I confident? That's when I'm happy. Because I can tell you from personal experience, chasing a number on the scale isn't what's going to make you happy.
There's so much information about nutrition on social media. And so I want to know, like, what are 3 myths that you're like, I see this all the time and it like makes me mad that people are like saying, not, I mean, it doesn't make you mad, but it's like, I need to be able to educate people on these things that are like, this is not true. What are like the top 3 social media myths?
Okay, I have like 3 top ones that like go around social media all the time. One is like the detox tea, the detox supplement. Take my tea and you are gonna be skinny and it's gonna be great. And so just
I have some.
They don't take this. They're probably like, they're usually the least healthy people anyways, because they are chasing the aesthetic. They're not eating correctly, but they're not taking this tea, but they're not going to tell you that because they're making money off of it. More times than not, like these teas will contain like a diuretic or a laxative. So people will buy these teas. They'll take these teas. We all know what a laxative does to you. So then they're going to lose some water weight. They're going to step on the scale the next day and be like, oh my gosh, I lost 5 pounds. And then a day later, they're going to drink a gallon of water and the 5 pounds is going to be back. And so they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I need to have more. And like just totally messing up your digestive health, like ruining your digestive tract, cycling, these kinds of things. And it's like, if you have a working kidney and liver, like your body is detoxifying itself. Like you don't need a detox tea. You don't need a detox supplement. Like our bodies are made to do this themselves. So that one's been around since social media started. And I even get like so frustrated that it's still out today because you feel like there's also so much good information out there telling people like these things don't work, but people don't want to do the non-sexy work, right? Like they're like, one day I can lose the 10 pounds. Like that's way more appealing than being like, hey, eat some whole foods, go to the gym, get some steps in. So, I mean, I see why, but it's, yeah, as like a coach is very frustrating. Number 2 would just be like an overall, I would say like the fear mongers. So the demonization of everything. Like I shouldn't have to tell my clients that fruit and vegetables are not harmful to you, but you'll see all these so-called doctors and influencers and they're on the internet like, oh, these vegetables are bad for you. Like don't eat cruciferous vegetables, don't eat. And yes, that can cause bloat to some people. Nutrition can be like very personal, right? Like my genetics are different from your genetics. The way things react to my body might be different than yours, but it is not inherently unhealthy. And so then you have people searching for what else can they eat? And you're like, don't eat eggs. They're bad for your cholesterol. Don't eat meat. So it's like, I'm sure you've seen those other videos where a person's got a plate and it's got like fruit, veggies, and like a sandwich. And then it's like, don't eat fruit. And they take the fruit off. It's like, don't eat vegetables. And you take the vegetables off. Don't eat carbs. So they take the bread off. And like, now they're left with nothing, right? The plate is empty. And you're just like, what can I eat? And my dad is like, it's like, you can eat anything literally in moderation. And it's like, with the toxins and things, it's like, how much of it can you have, right? Because anything's going to be harmful to me in an over exaggerated dose, but I'm not going to sit there and eat 10,000 of whatever this is in one sitting. Like, am I going to eat pounds of gummy bears in an hour to where it's actually going to harm me? No, I'm going to get sick.
If you need to redo that workout.
It's just crazy, like that's so much information out there, and it's just people are searching for what they can, and it's free, and you're like, well, now I can't eat anything. What am I supposed to eat?
Yeah, that's a good one. Fear mongering. I didn't think about that, but that is, you do see a lot of that. Like, you really got to be careful about this, or you really got to be careful about this. And lacking context in those conversations for sure.
Well, an easier way to kind of seed those people out is they're always selling something. So if this person is like, don't do X, it's terrible for you, but I have this magic solution Z, it's kind of like the detox teas and the supplements. So if someone's trying to sell you something, more times than not, it's not coming with the full truth.
I feel like the other one that, detox teas, I think supplements is also the other like really big one. That's like, people are like, oh, this is the supplement that works, or this is the supplement that you should be taking. Like, you should be eating, everyone should be taking this supplement. And, like, do you find that is a myth for social media, or do you not?
Absolutely. So people come to me, we do CrossFit, right? So they're athletes and they follow these athletes that are trying to sell them these supplements that they may or may not take. And there is that like hierarchy of nutrition where, like, if you are basically like also at the top of the CrossFit pyramid, right? You're in sport and you are working hard. There may be some supplements that appeal to you. Maybe you should be taking fish oil. You definitely should be taking creatine. But if you're not eating whole foods, if you're not eating your protein, you're not eating the good amount of carbs and fats, like, these supplements aren't going to do anything to you. So it's that like layer cake, and the cherry on top is the supplements. And if you're not hitting these other layers of the cake, that's not going to do anything to you. It's not going to help you. You need to focus on the bottom up.
As I've grown older and been more open to talking about how I feel, and I start expressing those feelings to other men, they return and say, I also feel this way. I don't always feel good about the way that I look, or I do care about the way that I look and I want to have this aesthetic. And I've really appreciated the fact that more men have been able to have that open conversation, whereas in the past, we struggled with it internally because we felt like we didn't have a space in which to talk about it. So to have a nutritionist, somebody to be able to really confide in, almost like, this is a professional atmosphere, like talking to a doctor, where what we say is like confidential, I think has really been beneficial for men.
Totally. I definitely agree.
I sort of hope that some of that bleeds into the coached atmosphere for CrossFit as well, right? That even though it might not be in the nutritional realm, that some of our athletes feel comfortable enough to confide. Maybe it's a conversation after a class or before a class, or a sit down meeting that you do with athletes. Like, hey, I'm sort of feeling this way, or like, these are some of the things that I like struggle with, and sometimes maybe that leads to those discussions of like, hey, let's set you up with a conversation with a nutrition coach. Like, this is something that we should be talking about with a nutrition coach. Because
I think this is like one of the positive things about CrossFit, because CrossFit has pushed our focus on performance versus the way that we look.
Yeah.
And so we, like Sam talked about, it's now about how I perform, and the number on a scale isn't the significant factor. It's like, how is my performance being affected by everything else? And for me, that has made a huge difference, because I grew up doing gymnastics. So in gymnastics, both men and women, like, the way that we look is not necessarily something we're scored on, but
kind of
like the aesthetic of what and how we look can play a big part into the way that our skills look. And then based on that, judging subjective. So when they see somebody who's a little bit more overweight, maybe that line doesn't look as appealing, or the skill doesn't look as clean as somebody who's like rail thin. And luckily, gymnastics is taking a positive shift into, especially on the women's side, that a more muscular frame is accepted, and it's praised versus in the past where it's been all about being super, super skinny.
Yeah, I love that about that CrossFit, that it is more about your physical capabilities, and with the physical capabilities, like when you acquire more physical capabilities, the confidence in your life like just skyrockets outside of just performance. Like, yes, you perform well, but that performance or that confidence like bleeds into other areas of your life, and it's just like way more important than the number on the scale. Like that confidence of physical capability means a lot more to our psyche than a number on a scale. I want to know, Sam, something that we're talking about, like the being able to perform or physical confidence or competence. I want to know something that you are proud of. I want to know something that you've accomplished that you're proud of.
Loaded question. I mean, I don't know. Like, do you take it to something I'm proud of in like that I'm strong? Do you know, or is it personally like I'm so proud that I've been able to turn my life around using this space like for the better, and then using my story to help others and impact their lives and their journeys. And basically, like, it's never, my quote on my picture back at Oxnard was, it's never too late to be who you were meant to be. And I think that like really is who I am to my core. And I'm so proud of that, because it shows other people that no matter how hard life got for you or how bad, change your life around. Like, you're never too old, you're never too big, like you can always become who you want to be.
I love that. I think that's also something 100% worthy of some pride for, because that also takes work. I think anything that we're proud of, like we've put work and dedication and energy and time into, and the more of those things that we put into it, the more pride that we might feel, for sure.
All right, Sam, you and I share something similar in that we both work at other facilities besides Oxnard. So tell me something unique about your current space. It's Hammer Strength, is that correct?
Hammer CrossFit. I think that when it comes to CrossFit, like what is the most unique in any space you're in is your community, right? Like,
sure,
they're all different, but they're all, I mean, similar in a sense. And I am so happy that I found the space that I'm at. So when I started here, we had a couple locations, and the one that I coach out of mainly, which is the one that's still standing today, was always my favorite one, where there's a little bit more competitive aspect, not like, but between the members and the banter. And so it's always been somewhere where I look forward to going there. And I know, like, yeah, it's work, but we're going to have fun. We're going to get the workout done. We're going to learn things. And I've always looked forward to going to that space and being around those people. It's super cool to like being accepted into a new community like so soon, right? Like, they've been there for over 10 years. Most of them all were been at that community forever. Wow. And coming in as like a person, and you're like the authority figure, you're kind of like, and to come in and be accepted so soon and find like a space where I'm in a new place, I'm in a new city, I'm in a new state, I just left all my friends, and be able to find that right away is definitely unique to that space and CrossFit in general. And like going to weightlifting meets and having, all my athletes show up to support me, and they've never even seen a weightlifting meet. Sam's going, we're going to drive there. We're going to support her. Like, that is awesome to me. And that means a lot to me. And so that is something that I definitely love about our space.
I think that always says a lot about the owners and the management of a facility when a new coach comes in and the community rallies behind them and accepts them rather quickly, because it shows that they appreciate something new. And that's something that I feel like Oxnard has and my other spaces have as well. So I always feel like that's praise to the owners and the management.
And I'll flip that as well. That also has to do with the competence of the coaches. So when you are a great coach and you're a great employee, people are like, we're so happy to have you here. And so sure that can start with the ownership and being confident with their choices, but it also has to do with you and your competence levels too. So definitely be proud of that.
That's right. We're awesome.
You are. You guys are both great coaches. And I'm very lucky to be able to work with you guys. Sam, thank you for spending some time with us this morning. Like, what's your Instagram? I think we're gonna leave a link to book a free consultation with you, a 30-minute meeting to see if working with you would be great. So anybody who's listening to this podcast, for sure you can follow that link, find some time on Sam's schedule to book a consultation with her. But Sam, where's someone going to find you?
On Instagram, you can find me at Bows and Biceps. Biceps with 2 S's. And yeah, you can find me through the link at Oxnard Movement and schedule a free consult with me. If you're not totally comfortable doing that, you can find me on Instagram, slide in my DMs, we can chat. So I'm not shy at all, obviously. So love to chat. Anyone has any questions for me, I'm an open book. Feel free to ask away.
Cool. Thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Emmanuel, that was so good. Go again.
3, 2, 1.